Chiefs offense looked like it had really kicked things into gear in the middle of the season and then really stumbled the last couple weeks against Buffalo and against Denver. So let's take a look at the game against Denver and let's see if we can identify some things that went wrong with the Chiefs offense, why they weren't able to have a more productive day. And we're going to start early on in the Chiefs' first drive. The Chiefs had just gotten a first down, so it was 1st and 10 at about their own 38 or 39 yard line. They're down 3-0 at this point, about 6:55 to go in the first quarter. So we got Patrick Mahomes in the shotgun. He's got 2 to his left, both tight ends, and then they motion Juju over from right to left to get 3 to the left, 1 on the right. He drops back to throw. It's a good time, throws it deep over the middle to Xavier Worthy, and the ball's overthrown and incomplete. So let's take a look at what happened on this play. So the Chiefs are in a heavier set. They're in 12 personnel, which means they've got 1 running back and 2 tight ends, Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. What they're going to try to do in this play is they're going to essentially clear Juju out on the left side, and that's going to take this corner. The Broncos are playing a middle of the field closed coverage, which means single high safety, and they're essentially playing like cover 3 principles. So this corner has a deep responsibility, this corner has a deep responsibility, and they've got underneath defenders here. So Juju's going to run up and clear out, and Travis Kelce is going to come in behind him on an over route. On this side, Xavier Worthy is going to run a post. And so as we watch the Broncos, you see the underneath defenders drop out. The corner is going to run with Worthy. This corner is going to run with Juju. And so the Chiefs actually really called a fantastic play for this coverage. Because what ends up happening with Worthy running the post and Kelce coming across on the over past the underneath defenders, Worthy has cleared out this corner. So basically you put the safety in a position where, since this corner is cleared out, you have a massive void appearing here, and Kelce's running right into it. So really, one could say this play was quote-unquote designed for Kelce to try to get him open. But what you're doing is you're putting the safety in a bind where if he decides to come down to protect against Kelce, you've got Worthy running a post one-on-one. The post is open. This is a throw that could lead to a touchdown when you have, and honestly should lead to a touchdown when you have a guy like Xavier Worthy. If he decides to cheat and help on the post, you might get a touchdown the other way because this guy's cleared out. If you hit Kelce somewhere around here with nobody in front of him, he's going to be running a long way before anybody can get him. What the safety chooses to do is to come down on Kelce. And if you notice, Mahomes is looking at the safety right when he puts his foot in the ground, right there, signaling that he's going to run up. Now watch Mahomes from that moment on. He's put his foot in the ground, Mahomes rears up to throw the deep ball. So he is basically just keying on that safety. If the safety had stayed up, he would be throwing this over to Kelce. Since the safety is coming down, he's going to throw the post to Worthy. For whatever reason, Mahomes and Worthy have struggled a little bit getting on the same page with this. It seems like Mahomes is anticipating that Worthy is going to carry this farther just down the field. And Worthy runs it a little flatter than Mahomes was expecting. You can see Worthy having to change his trajectory right here. See how he's running in this direction. And then watch how he comes up. See how he's now running down the hash to try to catch up to the ball. So for whatever reason, they weren't quite on the same page about the trajectory here. And the difficult part is Worthy has so much separation here. If Mahomes just gets a little bit of air under this, it doesn't have to be a perfect throw. Just give him an opportunity to run under it. That if this throw had just been shorter, been farther over to the left, had been just hung in the air a little longer, like any way that you give him a chance, I think that if Worthy had run this at a deeper angle, he would have hit him in stride, but you don't have to hit him in stride. You don't, like, you just have one guy and Worthy's got him absolutely cooked. So at this point, you just want to be a little more conservative with the throw in that, like, just throw it to be complete, not necessarily to be a touchdown. And we've seen Mahomes do this before. If you remember the deep shot to Hollywood Brown against the Bills, where he didn't end up scoring right before halftime, sometimes you just put the ball up there and make sure the guy's going to catch it. And unfortunately, that was just a little bit too long here, a huge missed opportunity. And, if that's a perfect ball, it should be a 61-yard touchdown. If it's not a perfect ball, it could still be a 45-yard gain, Even if, you make Worthy wait on it, at least you get a completion, you get down the field. So that's one that Mahomes would really want to have back. And for whatever reason, he's worked out in general with Tyquan Thornton about, like, being on the same page. But with Worthy, it seems up and down, and you see Worthy having to extend his trajectory, and he's just not able to catch up to that one. So that's a real unfortunate miss. I mean, that could have been 7 points right there, or at the very least, got them right into field goal range on a drive where they would ultimately punt. Now let's jump to the very next play. So we've got 2nd and 10 now at their own 38-yard line, still in the first quarter, still down 3-0. We've got Mahomes in the shotgun. He's got Kareem Hunt back there with him. He's got Rice on the left and 3 on the right. He drops back to throw, throws over the middle, and it's incomplete, intended for Noah Gray. All right, so what do we got here? So like we said, we've got Rashee Rice isolated over to Mahomes' left. Then we've got Noah Gray as the lone tight end. So we got 1 running back, 1 tight end. That's 11 personnel. Hollywood Brown's in the slot. Tyquan Thornton is out wide. This time the Broncos are playing man match principle. So it's not quite a pure man or zone coverage. They're doing like a pattern match combination. We can go into some of the details of what they did in a second. So essentially what the Chiefs are doing here is they're running mesh underneath. Mesh, if you remember, you've got crossers, you've got Rice coming and Hollywood coming across. Tyquan Thornton takes an inside release and then bends this over to the corner. And Noah Gray is coming up and trying to sit in the middle of the field. So the Broncos in their match, essentially on this side, this defender has taken all of Rice. So he's essentially in man-to-man coverage. And Greenlaw here is responsible for the flat. So you'll see as Kareem Hunt pushes out to the flat, he follows him. On this side, he's got the deep of him. He's got the deep of Hollywood, but if you notice, Hollywood's going to come in and run mesh. So because Hollywood comes underneath, this corner drops back, the nickel, and he kind of pushes over to this defender here. So if you notice, no one really runs with Hollywood Brown. They're kind of pushing responsibility over here. And because of that, he's got eyes on Hollywood. He's now seeing that Hollywood is going to come over here. Noah Gray is able to sneak behind on his route right there and come to the second level of the defense. The 2 safeties are just trying to stay on top of everything. Hufanga stays a little more shallow because the guy on his side is coming underneath and he only has the 1 guy on that side. The safety's staying over the top. So essentially, because of Hollywood running underneath and this past responsibility here that allows Noah Gray to kind of sneak behind. And right here, as he turns, Mahomes is ready to throw. As you see, Mahomes sees Gray come over and he's ready to throw. And what he's expecting is just sit there. Like, you found the hole in the zone, pop. So he's expecting him to stay right on that hash. And instead, Gray brings this outside and then is not able to get to the throw. Now, Mahomes is putting some heat on this because this isn't a huge window, right? He's got defender here. You can't overthrow this. And then you actually have a defender coming in here as well once he sees the throw. So windows in the NFL are really tight. So Mahomes fires his fastball in, and if Gray sits where Mahomes expects him to right there, this is a completed pass. But Gray kind of, instead of stopping here, when he comes through, Mahomes expecting him to park right there, right in the hole. Instead, he comes out a little bit wide, and then the throw is off. Another miscommunication here, which is really unfortunate because this throw was there. And these are the things, against a good defense, you really have to be perfect here. But look at where Mahomes is throwing him the ball. Look at the window. He's got the tight window to throw into. And Gray, for whatever reason, just carried this over. If Gray had sat, this ball's right there for him. He would have caught it. For whatever reason, he drifted a little away from the hash. And as you see, there's a defender here. There's a defender here. So Mahomes is essentially just trying to zip one into the open area, but not on the same page with Gray. Gray drifted it. Mahomes expected him to sit. Miscommunication leads to an incomplete pass. Now we'll go to the very next play. So we've got 3rd and 10. Same situation. Mid to late first quarter. Chiefs are down 3-0. At this point, we've got Mahomes in the shotgun. Kareem Hunt next to him. He's got 2 to the left, 2 to the right. They send Worthy in motion from left to right. Mahomes takes the snap. He throws deep down the right sideline for Thornton. The ball is just out of reach. Incomplete. So on this play, we motion Worthy over. So we've got 11 personnel again. 1 running back, Kareem Hunt. 1 tight end is Travis Kelce. Wide receivers are Tyquan Thornton, then Xavier Worthy in the slot, and Hollywood Brown over here. So what the Chiefs are going to do is they run Hollywood Brown essentially at a curl right at the sticks. Xavier Worthy comes across and tries to, again, break right at the sticks at the first down marker. They, on this side, have Kelce run a corner pattern, and they have Tyquan Thornton run a go. The Broncos play man coverage. They actually have everybody manned up. And interestingly, they have zero respect for the deep ball in this play. Both of their safeties play up at the sticks, essentially anticipating that the Chiefs are going to try to make a play for the first down. They're not worried about being beaten over the top. I mean, to a point where it's comical. Look at where the safeties are. There's nobody deep. And so when Tyquan Thornton beats his man over here, he's just gone free. This is, again, the Chiefs have had 3 plays on this drive, back to back to back, where they've gotten guys open against this Broncos defense. The first one, Mahomes has just got to throw a better ball. The second one, Noah Gray didn't sit in the gap that Mahomes expected him to. And this one, the throw is just a hair long. This isn't like the Worthy throw where it's whoa, there was something, there was a miscommunication there. That ball was 3-5 yards farther where it needed to be. This was if this ball's half a yard, Thornton catches this. This was real close. Just missed this throw. And these are the kinds of misses that are okay, right? This. But the problem is that the other misses that were easier plays to make, you can't afford. You can't afford this miss when you have those misses too. The truth is you can't afford those misses. When Worthy's coming on post wide open, you've got to throw a ball that he can at least get to, even if he doesn't score on it. When, Gray's coming up the seam, you got to stop in the gap so that we can complete that pass. In that case, if you miss Thornton down the sideline on this is a play that's just off, that's okay. But you got to give yourself a chance on these plays, So the Chiefs really, for all the complaints about the scheme and the play calling, these were 3 plays in a row that worked. All 3 of them should have been huge gains. Chiefs were not able to execute on any of the 3. This was not about scheme. This was not about design. Guys were open on every play. Mahomes read the right read every single time. The first one, he missed the throw. The second one, Gray didn't sit right in the spot, in his correct spot. And the third one, the throw was just a tick off. And there you go. You're punting. If any of these plays hit, that could be a huge drive starter. The Worthy one could have been a touchdown. The Thornton one could have got you into the red zone. These are big plays that could have led to points, and the Chiefs just weren't able to execute. We now jump ahead to 2:01 to go in the first quarter. The Chiefs are down 6-0, and they have a 2nd and 10 at the Denver 13-yard line. We got Mahomes in the shotgun with a bunch to his left, Worthy isolated on the right. Takes a snap, throws left to Brashard Smith. Smith gets tackled after a gain about 8, setting up a potential 3rd and 2, but a flag falls. And Juju Smith-Schuster is called for a hold on this play. So let's take a look at this play, and we'll take a look at a couple aspects of the play. So this is an RPO. Again, what that means, it's a run-pass option, so it's going to be blocked up and run like a run play. So if you see, you can always tell it's an RPO because the line's run blocking. They're all moving forward at the line of scrimmage. And so if any pass happens, it has to happen quick because we have to have the ability to not have a lineman downfield. So if a lineman is more than a yard past the line of scrimmage, that's an ineligible lineman downfield when the ball is thrown. So you have to throw the ball before your linemen that are pass blocking or run blocking, so they're going forward. They can't get a yard downfield before you throw the ball. So they've got the bubble option here where Juju and Kelsey are coming up to block for Smith, and you have the run option. The first thing I want to alert you to is let's look at what the Broncos are doing here. So the Chiefs are not blocking this edge guy. You've got 5 guys blocking 3. 1, 2, 3. The run is set here to go over to the right. Greenlaw appears to be ready to come down for the run. But that's about it, right? Like everybody is well off the line of scrimmage. Greenlaw's okay. He's about 5 yards back. This linebacker on this side is again 5 yards back, but look at him at the snap. He's already headed this way. And the defense, I mean, part of the reason the defense shifts is because they see Mahomes throwing the ball here. But if you just look at the numbers here, this is not like a heavy set here. Now, I don't know how much you trust Worthy to come out here and block, but you've got Worthy hat on a hat here. Trey Smith has the ability to come here, like he's got the double here and then he can come down. I mean, I don't know that I would argue to run it on this situation just because it's particularly because it's 2nd and 10. But I think this is indicative of a mentality of the Chiefs that other teams have really keyed on, and especially the Buffalo Bills and now the Denver Broncos, is that they don't think the Chiefs are going to run the ball. So your RPO efficacy has gone down a ton. And your play action efficacy has gone down a ton because you see how the Broncos are behaving on this. Like, they're not afraid of Kareem Hunt running this ball. And it doesn't matter for this play because this play, Brashard Smith ends up getting 8 yards. But it matters long term when you're actually trying to move the ball down the field that at some point you have to make defenses pay for, getting people out of, like when you have this run pass option, just having people flow immediately to the pass, for having a light box on this side anyway. Like ultimately you've got these 3 and him that need to be blocked by the line in order for the Chiefs to get 4 to 6 yards. And that's something that they should do more often if teams are going to give it to them, especially in the red zone where yards are going to be hard to come by. Like I said, on 2nd and 10, I kind of get it. Like, I don't love running the ball on 2nd and 10. But if the opportunity is there and you can increase the respect that defenses have for the run so that you can have a little more room on the RPOs in the future or on play action, I think that's useful. Anyway, not the point of this play. The point of this play is, unfortunately, Juju gets called for a hold here. I'm not going to lie, I don't really see much of a hold here. I think that, the defender tries to kind of fight through the block. Juju releases. I don't know. He's got a hand on the shoulder, and he's got his other hand on the shoulder from that side. It's not really that compelling to me as a hold, and it's an unfortunate situation because the penalty changed what would have been a 3rd and 2 at about the 5-yard line to a 2nd and 18, and that was ultimately too much for the Chiefs offense to overcome. Again, you see Juju blocking here. Now, to be fair, on the third down play later, Juju was called for a hold that really was a hold, and they ended up declining it. And, officiating was not really... The officials were whistle happy or flag happy in this game, but the officiating wasn't really a story in, how the game progressed. I think the officials were just ticky-tacky all the way around. But in this instance, it was really unfortunate for the Chiefs, because had they been... the offense got them into a position to be at a 3rd and 2, and, if they had been able to score a touchdown here instead of get 3, that's a 4-point difference. So this play ended up being a pretty big swing play, and it's unfortunate that Juju got called for a hold because, like I said, it was pretty light. But, this, as we've talked about on this, in these film reviews in this channel before, it's just that in the NFL, the officiating is inconsistent across the board, and it is what it is. I don't know that it particularly affects games so much unless it's like a missed call in a high leverage situation. In general, officiating is just all over the place, and it's a hard game to officiate. What are you going to do? But this was a big swing play. If not for that penalty, it's possible the Chiefs get a touchdown here instead of a field goal. Now we jump ahead to 5:29 to go in the second quarter. Chiefs are down 6-3, and they have a 2nd and 2 at about the Denver 11-yard line. Mahomes has a bunch to the left, and Juju motions from left to right. Takes the snap, hands it off to Kareem Hunt, who gets stuffed for a loss of 1 yard, bringing up 3rd down. Well, this is the opposite of what I was talking about earlier, right? I was talking about how you need to commit to the run in these situations when you get light boxes. Well, the Chiefs did, and they weren't able to make Denver pay here. So after Juju motions over, we can see now we've got, again, 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end. Look at how far off Denver's second-level defenders are here. And this is a 2nd and 2. So you see, again, you're not respecting the run whatsoever, right? And the Chiefs run an RPO again. This time, they've got a slant to Rice and out to Brown. And, the out route to Brown was there. But again, like I said before, I agree with these. I just think fundamentally it is good for you to run the ball in these situations where teams are not respecting the run at all, because you create more favorable situations for yourself. One could argue, if Mahomes, fakes this handoff and throws the quick out to Hollywood, that's a 1st down, and that's true. But in this situation, the way that you have it blocked up, again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got a hat on a hat, and then you've got these 2 guys coming in here, good blockers in Gray and Juju. Like, this play should go for plus yardage. And really, what happens is Jawan Taylor just gets absolutely murdered on his block. So the one problem I have with this entire play design is just they're leaving the edge here, and they're having Kingsley pull over to seal the edge. The problem is that leads Jawan Taylor, who is your worst run blocking lineman, to be blocking a defensive tackle one-on-one. And that's just too much power for him. He can't hold his own here in the gap. If Jawan Taylor is able to hold his own, you're supposed to be making the hole right there for Kareem Hunt to go through. Taylor's not able to hold his own. And the second problem is that Hunt is not, he's just not the back he used to be as far as his ability to, press outside. Because look at this. If you have a back that can hit the corner, there's nobody there. Everybody's in off coverage. If Brashard Smith is here, you just take that to the outside. You need 2 yards. But the Chiefs aren't able to threaten that at all. And because of that, this end, crashing in, against a fast running back, you might have a situation where the end has to set the edge a little wider because he has to prevent the back from getting to the edge. And then there is a hole for Hunt to run through, even though Jawan Taylor is really struggling. But the combination of a back who doesn't have the ability to get to the edge that allows them to squeeze here, and a tackle who's not able to hold his own against a defensive tackle, and Hunt just gets squeezed in. The other thing that's unfortunate is Trace Smith actually manages to move his guy over and create this nice lane, but obviously you're not really expecting Kareem Hunt to be sitting and then cutting this back on a 2nd and 2. I mean, I feel like prime Le'Veon Bell would be the kind of guy that would do that, the way he would just sit and wait for his blocks to develop. But, I can't really blame Hunt or anyone from that. You can see it on this one. Watch Trace Smith and watch how he manages to get around and just kind of clear out here. And because of that, there is a nice cutback lane that would have been created, although 40 would probably come in and plug that at this situation. But you're not really expecting Hunt to be thinking that way when he's trying to burrow forward and just get a yard. But you see how much Taylor getting manhandled makes it difficult for Hunt to have any place to squeeze through, and then the defender's able to shed the block. But again, if there's any challenge to the outside, if there was any ability to challenge out there, there's nobody that's going to stop a quicker back from getting there. Kingsley did enough to prevent the edge from being set that you could get a wide angle and go around. So, these are the problems that the Chiefs are running into. They have to take advantage of these situations on the ground. When you have this opportunity, you have a hat on the hat. Look at how deep the Broncos are playing here. You have to be able to take advantage of these to make teams respect the run. They're certainly not going to respect the run if you lose a yard on a situation where they're not respecting the run at all. All right, so we saw the Kareem Hunt run stuff that led to a field goal. So another situation, we've had 2 plays in the red zone now that we've looked at where a touchdown became a field goal. Potential touchdown, I should say, became a field goal. Now we're jumping to 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. Chiefs have a 3rd and 1 at their own 19 with the game at 6-6. So they have a chance to get points before half. They're going to get the ball after half. They can really change the outlook of this game. You've got Mahomes in the backfield. He's got 3 to his right, Worthy on his left. He motions Rashee Rice. He comes and does an orbit motion that, then stands behind. Fake the handoff to Rice. There's a free defensive end, and Mahomes ends up getting sandwiched and sacked. Now, this is a concept that the Chiefs and a lot of teams run pretty frequently, but you'll see it a lot from the Chiefs. And let's kind of break it down. So starting here, we're in 11 personnel. We've got 1 running back, 1 tight end. You've got Rice and Juju over to the right, and you've got Worthy over to the left. They run this motion and get Rice in the running back position here. So what they do is they fake the handoff here, leaving the end unblocked. And you send Smith out as the running back toward the first down marker in the flat. A lot of times this play is run under center. And what they do is from under center, the back is Smith. Smith will fake like he's running this way, so there'll be a play action to him, and then he'll just go past the end into the flat. But in this case, they fake a handoff to Rice, and then they have Smith. And because of the way it's set up, I think, because you look at Mahomes here, I think he's worried about this free end knocking it down. Because ideally, this motion kind of puts the end in a little bit of conflict to try to figure out what he's doing. And Mitchell Schwartz brought up the point on Twitter that, the doing this from under center is better at creating conflict for that end. But my best understanding as to why Mahomes didn't fire off and throw this ball right now is I think he's worried about getting a tip from the defensive end. I think that's what makes him eat this throw right here. Then at this point, you can see Juju's route. The point of him coming up here is he's trying to set a pick play on this guy to just create a freer release for Brashard Smith. Worthy is going to be coming around. And then late, you're going to have Noah Gray, who's blocking, come out and into the open area. And so initially, Brashard Smith is read number 1, and I think because Rice, who is going to come out of the backfield and come out and sit, I would have hoped that Rice would be read number 2, but maybe because of the play action motion, they're not expecting him to pop open quickly. So if you look, Mahomes looks to Smith, thinks about it, doesn't like it. I think it's because of this defender. Then he looks over to Worthy. Well, you don't really have Worthy. It's pretty congested in here. You've got the linebacker over the top, you got or underneath, safety over the top. Worthy's trying to run in that gap. So Worthy's not really an option. He then goes to Rice, and I don't know why he doesn't pull the trigger here. I don't know if he felt a little too congested here, but I don't know. I don't know. He hesitated on this one, and I really wish he didn't. I think he could have fit this into Rice, but he hitched right there. If that one goes right to Rice, I think you get the first down here and you keep it moving. Unfortunately, at the same time, Kingsley and Creed, and we'll see this better on the end zone view, Kingsley and Creed both kind of think that the other one has this defensive tackle who manages to squeeze through and pressure Mahomes, and that's really what prevents him from getting over to Gray, who is wide open. And Chiefs get sacked. So if we watch it from this angle, look at this. First, after the play action, he's ready. He's ready to fire this to Smith. And I think he's worried about, and this has happened to Mahomes many times, right? That to be out and have the end when you're trying to throw horizontally, have the end knock it down. It's third down, so he turns that throw down. Now you see he's looking over to Worthy. But Worthy's coming across. He's got a linebacker underneath. There's no safe throw here. Then he looks at Rice. This is the throw. This is the throw I really wish he made. It was right there. And he thought about it. And it's not like the defender was so close that he could have hit his throwing arm. I think and you know Mahomes, he'll do a push pass or a shovel pass or something. You just got to get this out quick. I mean, but I think he could have just thrown this normally. I mean, he's got separation here. He's got a quick enough release. I feel like, I don't know, he didn't throw that one. And then here is the other issue. So they end up stunting here. So 96 comes around, and 93 kind of comes through. And the Chiefs' offensive line loses this here. This is really not good. They pass this. Trey Smith takes over for 96. Creed has his eyes over here. I think he thinks Kingsley's got this guy. Kingsley thinks he's got help from Creed. And he just slides right through and gets to Mahomes. If not, I think Mahomes has a second to look over toward, if 93 is not collapsing on him right now, I think he has a second to look over toward Gray, who is wide open. But I don't know why he turned down Rice. He turned down Rice there. And then after Rice, he looked back at Worthy. He didn't come all the way over to Gray. So he's looking at Worthy here. Then he sees 93 and it's over. He's not able to come over to Gray, and they get a sack and force the Chiefs to punt instead of starting a 2-minute drill. Again, a big play forcing a punt. And these are plays that are there. They're just, it's interesting how a lot of little things are going wrong here, right? Like Mahomes doesn't pull the trigger on Rice. I'm actually perfectly fine with him not throwing that one over to Smith, but he doesn't pull the trigger on Rice, and then the line just loses a guy in a stunt. If they maintain that, then there's a chance that Mahomes gets over to Gray before the end gets to him, and they complete a first down. So it's these compounding mistakes that no individual one looks that bad, but they're just not quite sharp enough on some of these plays. It's there for the taking. If some of these plays are executed, this is a very different result. Now we jump to 21 seconds to go in the second quarter. The Chiefs have a 1st and 15 at their own 32-yard line. 6-6 game. They're trying to get into field goal range to get points right before the half, and then they're going to get the ball to start the third quarter. So a tie game. Mahomes is in the gun. He's got 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Drops back to throw, faces pressure, spins out of it, rolls to his right, and he throws down the field to Rashee Rice, who's not able to make the catch. So on this play, you've got the Chiefs in 11 personnel again. This is one running back, Kareem Hunt, one tight end, Travis Kelce. The Broncos, though they kind of show a single high with what looks like man. See, you see how they're lined up here. They look to be showing this is a rusher, this is a potential rusher. This looks like man coverage with one high safety. But they actually drop into a cover 3 zone. You see at the snap they drop back, which the Chiefs have a decent play for this. So they've got Thornton and Brown both releasing vertically and stretching the safety and the corner on that side. So there go Brown and Thornton down the field, and really they take the cap off of the defense, right? The deep 3 are accounted for. Then on this side, Rice comes and sits intermediate, which is really this is the play you want. And then they have Kelce, who's chipping, and Hunt release late to try to help occupy defenders. This was a good play design. This would have worked, but unfortunately on this one, Trey Smith gets beat pretty badly by Zach Allen right here. And Mahomes isn't able to sit in the pocket. Really, he would need until about now to throw this to Rice in the gap. And he's already running for his life. So Mahomes spins out. Rice alertly follows him. And really give credit to Kelce in the scramble drill too. I think he realizes this is happening. So instead of drawing extra attention over here, Kelce comes back the other way to try to pull defender away to clear up space. Unfortunately, this defender does a good job of peeling over onto Rice. But Mahomes makes a great throw. You know, he's hit by Bonito. He throws this. It's hard to see from this view. We'll get to the end zone cam. But Rice gets his hands on it, both hands on it. He's got to catch this one. And I feel like he normally would, but he didn't there. So as we see it here, Zach Allen, just a great rush here. And it blows this play up. But Mahomes manages to make something happen. And look at this. Rice gets both hands on it. He just couldn't squeeze it. I feel like he probably won't be able to believe he didn't get this. And, you know, there's a chance he would have been able to catch this and get out of bounds. The Chiefs had a timeout. So if he had been able to catch this and get out of bounds, that would have saved their timeout. If they had got the ball on the Denver 46, we're talking about mile high. You know, field goal is definitely within the realm of possibilities. So that was a tough drop. Again, that could have potentially cost the Chiefs 3 points right there. Let's jump to 10:23 to go in the third quarter. The Chiefs have a 3rd and 14 at the Denver 21-yard line. Still a 6-6 game. Chiefs have a chance to get points and get the lead. Mahomes has 2 to his left, 2 to his right. Takes the snap, drops back, steps up through the B gap, running, and then throws down the right sideline, and it's intercepted. This play ended up coming back because there was an illegal blindside block called on the guy who blocked Mahomes. But in any case, turnover in the red zone. Chiefs lost an opportunity at points. So let's take a look at what happened here. So the Chiefs are in 12 personnel. One running back is Elijah Mitchell in this play, and then you've got Noah Gray and Travis Kelce as your 2 tight ends. Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton are the 2 wide receivers. So the Broncos are playing zone here, and as Mahomes hits the back of his drop, Kelce turns to sit. So does Worthy, but then Worthy ends up... So really, like, Kelce's coming and curling here. Worthy's coming and curling here. Thornton initially takes this to the corner, but Mahomes is already kind of in scramble drill mode. So he dropped back. Nothing like immediately pops open. Now remember, he's really trying to push it here. It's 3rd and 14. So he's trying to make something spectacular happen. And he's starting to feel the pocket collapse a little bit. Doesn't want to take a check down, so he escapes and tries to see what he can make happen. Now, as Mahomes has done many times, he's trying to put this defender in conflict. And he's hoping that as he threatens to scramble, this defender will come forward, which he kind of stops here. But there's already another defender here, so he doesn't have to like sell out and really come after Mahomes. The Broncos have done a good job in pursuit, and teams are doing this more and more. As Mahomes breaks contain, they're taking one of their zone defenders and just having him fly at Mahomes to limit the time that he has. And so it makes it so that Mahomes has to run more horizontally. He can't just completely commit to running the ball because he's not going to make it with the defender kind of closing in on him. And so that allows this underneath defender, he stops here, but then actually stops and then baits Mahomes a little bit. And then when Mahomes makes the throw, he's in position to intercept it. Really, though, I mean, this is still a throw that Mahomes can make. He's just got to put this ball a little higher. I think from his perspective, he was like, well, it's risky in this situation. I don't mind Mahomes trying to make this throw. I trust him to be able to actually put this in the right spot. I think he just overestimated how much commitment he was getting out of the defender. I think he's got to be a little more careful with the throw, assuming the worst, that maybe this guy is going to, try to stick back and actually contest the throw, which he did. And I think that's the mistake to me. It's not trying to make this throw. It's overrating the window you may have to make the throw, because it was a good job by the defender to be ready for this and to, step back and be ready for a pass. So here as he escapes, he makes the throw. You can see it's right as the defender makes this stop. So he sees the motion. He's just got to get it. It's a good play by the defender. He's just got to get a little higher. I actually don't mind this throw at all. It's just not well executed enough. And I think Mahomes, again, was overconfident in the fact that the defender was just going to come after him when actually he had to be ready for that window to be a little smaller than he thought it was going to be. If he makes an accurate throw, I still think that's a touchdown. Now we go to 6:46 to go in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs have a 3rd and 2 at their own 20-yard line or so. They're up in this game at this point. They're up 19-16. They have a chance to take a drive and finish this game off. Mahomes is in the shotgun here. 2 to his right, 2 to his left. Brashard Smith widens at the snap. Mahomes drops back to throws left to Smith, and they can't connect, resulting in 4th down, and the Chiefs have to punt away their chance to really ice this game. So what happened on this play here? The Chiefs, again, they need 2 yards here. They've got 2 drag routes on this side and 2 kind of deeper over routes on this side. So trying to get here and here, and then they widen Brashard Smith, and he's running kind of a wheel. The Broncos are playing man coverage. So ultimately what they end up doing is they pass off, because if you get, these 2 coming this way and Smith going that way, the idea is that Smith's defender has to run over all this traffic. But so in order to prevent that, when Smith widens, look at how the Broncos changed up their responsibilities. All right, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him. You take the back. So they prevent this situation of needing Brashard Smith's defender to run through all that traffic. So that's step 1. But what that does is it leads to a situation where the corner is playing over the top of Smith here. And so one of the questions that I saw people ask on Twitter is, if you watch this, Mahomes is hesitating here initially. He's like hesitating. And the reason he's doing that is you've got the corner up over the top. So what you're expecting is to throttle down this route and stop. You're at the 1st down marker. Why are you running closer to your defender? What Mahomes is hoping for is that Smith will slow down this route and allow him to stop him with a throw to keep the throw away from a defender. And that's why initially Mahomes is hesitating, because he's trying to, I don't think he trusts that he knows exactly what Smith is doing. I think he's waiting to see any indication that Smith's slowing down, but Smith is just looking back for him, continuing at the same pace and running right into the defender. So Mahomes ultimately tries to stop him with the throw, and Smith is going so fast. This is why he didn't throw it, because I think Mahomes knew this was going to happen. He's waiting for Smith to slow this down. Because what's the point? Like, why are you trying to run into a defender that has capped your route? You need to get here. If you just, stay wide and slow this down, he'll throw it over to the sideline. You'll get an easy completion here for first down. This was really unfortunate because, again, this is a drive. The Chiefs are leading in this game. They have a chance to run clock. They have a chance to run clock and get points. They could have ended this game with this drive. And unfortunately, this was just Brashard Smith not understanding how to respond to this coverage in this situation. And when Mahomes tried to stop him with the throw, unfortunately, Smith's momentum was too much. And look how close Smith got them to the defender with this. If he throttles this down earlier, this throw and catch is just easy. But it was a good adjustment by Denver. They saw Smith push out and they prevented, because really if 40 was going to be guarding Smith, he would have to run through all of this traffic and it probably would have made for an easier throw and easier communication. But this play 100% should have been completed. It's really unfortunate, again, just that Smith decided to run this through all the way to the defender, and it resulted in the Chiefs having to punt. So now we're at 4:05 to go in the fourth quarter. The game's tied. The Chiefs have a chance to drive the ball down the field and go win the game. This is their first down play, 1st and 10 at their own 26-yard line. Mahomes is under center. He's got 3 to his left, 1 to his right, and Rice motions over from left to right. You can see Mahomes changing the protection, then motions Rice back over. Play action fake to Hunt. He throws a quick pass to Kelsey that's knocked down quickly. Okay, so what are the Chiefs doing on this? We got all this motion, and look what the motion is telling you, right? This seems like a man indicator here. You got Rice motioning over, the defender follows him. Rice motions back, defender follows again. And so your route combination from here, you're going to have Worthy come up and run a dig. You got Brown release in and run a corner pattern. Rice is going to flare out to the flat. Kelsey's going to chip block and then come be available underneath. Kelsey's route here typically is like a nice one against zone because, when he chips and comes underneath, oftentimes the zone defenders back off, and that gives you a little bit of an umbrella underneath, that little room where you can get a quick completion. However, against man coverage, when he chips, then you're going to have a defender that's directly responsible for him, and he's going to close in on him. That's what you have here. And Mahomes himself noted that if he were just patient on this one, Hollywood Brown running the corner against man is a great route, right? He's a great route runner. He pops wide open. This could have been, a 20-yard gain to jumpstart this drive. This, to me, is the mark of a quarterback who's not really, he's not really trusting in the offense. He's not trusting that the offense is going to work. He's just trying to pick up some quick, cheap yards in order to get things going. But here, the play was there. And I feel like Mahomes, when he's feeling it, is the kind of guy that wants to wait and push the ball. They were making mention of that being an emphasis this year, and I think this was Mahomes just desperately wanting some positive yards on first down. But in man coverage here, Hufanga, teams in general are really going to key in on Kelsey and on underneath routes, right? And just like the Chiefs need to stop teams from backing off toward pass plays by actually running the ball, you stop teams from keying on the underneath routes by throwing those more intermediate routes. So they have to think about staying back. They're not just charging on everything up underneath. That's what opens up your underneath stuff. But in this case, Mahomes didn't wait for it. Pass is knocked down, and the Chiefs are on a quick 2nd and 10. You see it here again, what we're talking about as far as the man indicator. Look at the man running across with Rice, running back. Looks like Mahomes just wants something fast here. Hufanga's already, by the time Mahomes is ready to throw, Hufanga's closing in on that. And the Chiefs are very quickly into 2nd and 10. So now we'll go to the Chiefs' last offensive play of the game. 3:53 to go in the 4th quarter. Chiefs have a 3rd and 10 at their own 26-yard line. 19-19 game. Still a chance to go and get this one. Mahomes is in the shotgun, and after motioning Worthy over to the left, he's got 3 to his left, 1 to his right. Takes a snap, drops back, and is sacked by the free rusher. So a lot happened, and some of which we're going to need to see the end zone cam in order to really break it down. But let's get to the basics of this play. Chiefs are 11 personnel. 1 running back, 1 tight end. They've got 3 wide receivers. They motion over to 3-by-1. And if you notice here, the Broncos have 2 linebackers in the A-gaps. They did this a lot during this game. And it puts stress on the pass protection. The way the Chiefs end up deciding to block it is they're going to have Creed take 1 and Kareem Hunt take the other. That leaves Taylor here, Smith here, Caliendo here, and Josh Simmons here. Everybody blocked up. The problem is the Broncos don't blitz this way. They drop Greenlaw and they add a corner blitz from the side. You know, Spagnuolo special. Steve Spagnuolo does this kind of thing all the time. And ultimately, we'll see how the protection ends up like changing because of that, but ultimately the corner comes off free, and so Mahomes has to contend with a free rusher. However, this corner coming off doesn't cause any of the Chiefs receivers to adjust a route to be hot, because now that people aren't blocked, you have to make yourself available. Unfortunately, Rasheed Rice is chipping here, so he is laid out on his route because of his chip block. And Worthy, the guy who the blitzer is coming right in front of, you would really expect to like flatten this route to just give Mahomes anything to throw to. Worthy's taking this up the field, but, you know, and I know Greenlaw, it's a nice design because Greenlaw is like dropping into the middle of the field, but Greenlaw's not going to be able, especially as he's coming out in this direction. If Worthy flattens this and just present Mahomes with a target. Look at Mahomes hitting the back of his drop. Who's he going to throw to? Nobody's even got their head turned yet. Seeing this hot route, if Worthy's able to flatten this into this direction and go, get your head around, give your quarterback something, you're going to cross Greenlaw's face pretty quickly, and there's actually a ton of green grass over here. You know, if Worthy flattens this, it's the fastest guy in the league. If Mahomes is able to hit him, he might be gone. And it's really frustrating that there is no adjustment on this play made to the fact that there's blitzing, especially because the Chiefs are known to be a sight adjustment offense. You know, that's why the timing of their passes are sometimes off, because the receivers are making sight adjustments. I mean, everything was there for the taking here. He's got a free release. He's just got a linebacker coming up underneath him. You know there's a blitz. You just got to get open now. He can score here. If he just flattens this rat out and then tries to go, it gives Mahomes something. Like, literally, Patrick Mahomes has nothing. He's got nothing here and just has to eat it for the sack. So let's look at this protection-wise. So like we said, with the 2 guys in the A-gaps, basically you've got Creed here and Hunt filling here, Caliendo here, Simmons here. Trey Smith is here, Juwan Taylor's here. But Greenlaw drops, and you're going to get a free rusher over from the left side. Now you see they snap as Creed shifts to the right. Right there. He's looking for Greenlaw. That step to the right Hunt's going to come and fill in here. Now, your hope would be that as Creed picks this up, now you bail back out. You're not needed there anymore. But it took a minute for Hunt to realize that something else was going on here. I think he thought that, that's it when Creed comes over here. But by the time he bails out and tries to help with the block over there, it's too late. So they really got the Chiefs' protection here. Now, if Creed had known, how would he know? At the snap and comes here, I think Hunt then just waits, and he's going to be available to take this blitzer as he comes from off the screen here. But since I really think, and Mitchell Schwartz was the one that pointed it out first, that see how the line, this side is shifting this way? This side of the line is shifting this way, so it's opening up for Hunt to be there. And, that's your A-gap guy, so you got to get there fast. He's got a short path to the quarterback, so Hunt's ready. But as Creed takes him, he doesn't get back out fast enough. And like we said, you really wish someone like Worthy was able to adjust his route there. He's the slot guy. He's on the inside. He's unencumbered. He sees the blitz. The blitzer came right in front of him. You're going to be hot. Like, somebody's got to give him a target. But all in all, you see, there are lots of different mistakes, and there are lots of little plays that, had they gone a different way, could have really changed the outcome of a very close game. So the Chiefs have a lot to clean up, but at the same time, if they clean up one of several things, they're going to be competitive and maybe even beat very good teams. So all hope isn't lost. I think that we will see a good run from this team through the end of the year. I wouldn't actually be surprised if they win out, end up going 12-5. Let's see. There have been two teams that have done something similar back to back. The Chiefs are going to adjust, and let's see where things go from here.